Okay. So what we're going to do now is just talk a little bit about, what I just mentioned, and that is that, these things that kind of set you off to use drugs, or the things that come before you start to use drugs, we're going to call triggers. And what we're going to do, right now is kind of just brainstorm some triggers for you. So what are some of the things that kind of lead to you, using, in this case, cocaine?
I think like when I go to a party and I just hear people talking about
Okay,
it.
so that would be certainly a trigger.
Yeah.
And sometimes when people that you may have used with in the past have you know, sometimes they will actually lead to triggers too. Does that happen with you? Okay, so like just seeing someone that you may have used with in the past, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. What else? Let's think of anything else that you might think of. And they're usually things that are associated with cocaine at some point, and then when you see them, then they kind of lead to, urges or cravings or desires.
Yeah. Well, I think like it's mostly like when I go out and go to a party and then like I hear everyone talking about it and like I get these like butterflies in my stomach and like I'm just like really excited and I just really want to do it.
Okay. Well, we can definitely take that as something for this self-control that we're going to do in a second. Now, the thing to realize is it's easier to stop those urges or those cravings if you can recognize these triggers very early on. For instance, I want to ask you, tell me a time where you recently used cocaine, or maybe where you recently had an urge or a craving to use cocaine.
Well, I had an urge like a few weeks ago. I went to the party, and I mean I was around all the people that I'm usually around whenever I did it, and someone had brought some with them, and everyone was talking about it, and I wanted to jump in. And
So let me ask you this: what was your first thought, image, or desire in that situation to use, cocaine?
first thought was probably well, like it was the person who will usually bring it to the party, and like when they showed up, I already thought that I know that she has it with her, and so
You just kind of knew that that person would have it.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want you to think about that situation when you first saw that person. Now what I want you to do is go backward in time, and I want you to think of any earlier thoughts, images, desires, anything like that that was relevant to cocaine, perhaps that day, where you may have, where that may have been experienced.
Well, I think it was probably going to that house because that's the house that we usually go to. So I think going to the party, I already knew there was like a really high chance that there was going to be cocaine.
Okay, very good. So we're going backward in time. Now, think even before that, like before going to the house, or as you're leading up to the house. When did you first, become aware that there was going to be a party?
When my friend called me.
Okay. Now, that's great. At that time, when your friend first called you, as compared to actually seeing that person, if you wanted to get out of that situation, which would have been easier for you?
When my friend called me.
Right. And that's usually what we found, is if you can recognize those triggers early on in the process, at that point, if you can do something, then it makes it a lot easier. And so that's what this is all about, this self-control. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to provide you actually a form, and you can see here it's called the self-control rating form. And basically, I'm going to model the steps that are listed. Let me see, right here. I'm going to be kind of going down this line, and I'll end with number 9 here.
Okay.
And so you can almost follow me, through it. Okay. And I usually like to kind of zone out and actually put myself in that situation. I'm actually going to use your situation and I'm going to try my best to follow these different steps. Now afterwards, I'm actually going to ask you to rate how you felt I did, and I'm actually looking for a pen. Let me just go ahead and get one for a second. So we're going to... Okay. Okay. So I'm going to give you this pen. Now, don't worry about scoring it right now, but we'll do this in a little bit. But watch how I, how I do this. So I'm answering the telephone, and I recognize that it's a friend of mine, and she says, "Hey, guess what? There's going to be a party, and John's going to be there, and I think it's going to be a really fun time." And as soon as I hear her say his name, stop! I can't go ahead and go to this party. If I do, there's a possibility that he might have something that's going to bring me down. My parents are going to come at me, and I'll lose all the different privileges like my car use that I've been earning up, and it'll also be bad for other people too because they'll get upset. There's a possibility my friends that I've been newly associating with will be disappointed and might threaten our relationship. Okay, let me just take a deep breath, kind of get relaxed, get myself together here. Okay, what can I do? Well, I can tell her that I can't go to the party because I, have another commitment. I can go ahead and tell her I, can't go to the party because he is there and I don't use anymore, and there's a possibility that it might bring me down. I can go ahead and, just maybe say, hey, let's go do something else. Maybe get something to eat. Or maybe I could even go ahead and ask her just to come on over to the house. Now, some of the good things and bad things about that is that, those choices that, in particular, one of the good things about kind of letting her know right up front why I don't want to go kind of really lets her know why it's important that I'm not going, and that it might prevent her from continuing to ask me to go. Being straightforward. One of the downsides on that, of course, is that she could, give me a hard time or something like that. I guess telling her that I don't want to go, just not saying anything, as I mentioned, that could just be, could backfire back, because, she would say, that's silly or something like that. Okay, so I thought a little bit about some of the pros and the cons. I think what I'm going to do is actually tell her that I don't want to go, and be right up front with her. So I'm going to imagine myself in that situation. She tells me, hey, he's going to be over there. And I say, hey, listen, I really don't want to go to this party. He's going to be there, and, he has as you mentioned, there's a good chance he's going to have something on him. And if I go ahead and see him, there's a possibility that something might lead to, me going and using, and my parents get upset. They'll start taking all these things away from me again. I'll damage our relationship. I've got some new friends that have been really cool with me that I'd like you to meet, and let's go ahead and I want you to come over with me, to the house, and we'll invite some of them over, and we'll have our own, party over my place, and I think we'll have a good time. And basically, she looks at me and she says, hey, yeah, it sounds cool. I understand where you're coming from, and I'm just here to support you. And so, this is really cool. I, decide to tell my mom, what happened. I say, hey, Mom, today I could have went ahead and used over at this party, and instead I decided that, I told my friend that I didn't want to go because there was a risk that, I could run into one of my triggers, and, who knows what happens. And my mom looks at me and she says, hey, you know what, I'm just really proud of you, and you know, you did all the right things, and I appreciate that, and you know, and so this is fantastic. You know, my life is going in a good way. I'm getting better scores in my exams at school. Got a bright future coming up. My parents are, you know, really giving me things that, you know, are important to me, and life's pretty good. Okay, and so that would basically be it, and we're going to score that now. And what I wanted to say is that, you know, you would obviously put that into your own situation, and but that kind of gives you a modeling of some of the things that would be important to do here.